Hey, this is Matt Cox, and we're going to do what do we call it, a channel update? Channel update. I'm going to talk about...
What are we looking for, Matt?
What we're looking for is we're looking for true crime content. We're looking for true crime stories, true crime content.
Yes.
Where I'm searching for people that want to be interviewed. Like, I want to do more interviews, and I get approached every once in a while. And basically, the way it's worked so far is people approach me and say, hey, man, I've seen your channel. I've seen your stuff. I've got a crime story. I'd like to talk to you about it. And then they come on the channel, but I've never really reached out and said, hey, if you know anybody or if you have that story, contact me, and we'll try and figure out a way for you to come on the channel. I don't want to do any Zooms. So a lot of guys are like, hey, we can do a Zoom. I'm in California.
Yeah.
Yeah, the problem with that is I don't want to do Zooms.
Zooms are a bummer.
Right. I would rather, if I was going to do a Zoom, I do all Zoom,
Yeah.
I do the whole Vlad TV thing where, like, Vlad doesn't really interview anybody in person.
Right.
So, I mean, I was interviewed on Vlad TV, and he wasn't there. You're being FaceTime, where he's got a camera on you, and he's actually on like a FaceTime device, like an iPad or something, and you're just sitting there talking to him on the iPad. So he's not even there. Like, I would do that if I wanted to, but I don't want to. I want to do an in-person interview. So if someone out there, somebody, or you have a crime story where you think it's a good story and you can tell your story, then by all means contact me. I'm going to leave my contact information in the description box, and you can send me an email and we'll arrange a time to talk on the phone about your story. The other thing is, a lot of people think, and this is a huge misconception, they think, oh, well, I have to have a big story, or tons of money. It's got to be like millions and millions, or it doesn't have to be that at all. It can simply be a unique story.
That's true.
I mean, probably one of your story. Mm-hmm. Your story is not the biggest case ever. It's not the massive this. It's the uniqueness of the story of a guy that was basically, raised on the streets of Miami, who was a homeless teen, who ends up putting himself through school and ends up getting a degree from the Art Institute, right?
That's right?
And starts making credit cards.
Yeah.
Did you make the most credit cards ever? No. Did you make the most money ever? No. Mm-mm. But it's a catch me if you can story. It's all of the different stories of almost getting caught here, of going to Vegas and blowing money here and doing this and doing that. There's just a bunch of unique stories that make it super interesting. Same thing with Catch Me If the real Catch Me If You Can.
Yeah.
He didn't have the biggest dollar amount ever. He wasn't the person to.
It was the audacity.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was the uniqueness of how he went about doing it.
Absolutely.
So you don't have to have a massively huge story. I interviewed that guy, Batman. I don't know if you ever saw it. It was a bank robber.
Yeah.
But everybody he knows called him Batman. Mm-hmm. And he just came in and just talked about how he would case the banks, who he would work with, how he picked those people, how he would pick the getaway routes. Like, he didn't steal more money than anybody. He didn't rob more banks than anybody.
Right.
But it was an interesting story, and it was a chance to talk to somebody and interview someone and watch an interview from somebody that most people don't meet. Some guy that works 40 hours a week at a 7-Eleven or sells insurance or works as a loan officer in a bank doesn't get to talk to a guy that's robbed 10 or 15 banks. Like, that's an interesting, interview.
Right.
And so if people have those stories, or they know those guys, or they know someone like that, I'd love to interview those guys. Those are the guys I want to interview. And look, if you do have a massively huge case, that's great too. The other thing I'm looking for is guys that want to get their story out there, can tell the story, and are willing to come here. And I've met several of these guys, right? Like, I've met guys that were in Pennsylvania.
Right.
And they said, hey, look, you know what? I'm going to come with my family, and I'm going to come down to Florida, and I'm going to go to Disney World, and I'm going to go over to your place for a day, and I'm going to do the podcast with you. Great. Because
Perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Because I don't have the money. I don't have the money to fly somebody to California here, put you up in a hotel. I mean, I'm building a channel. I don't have the ability to do that yet. I'm not there yet.
Mm-hmm.
What I can offer is if someone has a unique story and they're interested and they're willing to, maybe they're in Tampa, maybe they're in Miami, maybe they're in Jacksonville, maybe they're in North Carolina. If they're willing to come here, I can interview them. You can interview them. I'm starting another channel that's very, very soft white underbelly-ish, where it's just them sitting down, telling their story by themselves. Maybe it's 15 minutes, maybe it's 2 hours. I don't know. It's whatever they want. And I've been doing some of these interviews. I'm supposed to do one tonight. And so what I can do is I can get you exposure. I can get you on my channel, most likely get you on Boziak's channel. I can get you on, Inside the Darkness, that channel. And the exposure may end up getting you on multiple channels.
Absolutely.
Right. So like you, the same thing with me.
Yeah.
I did Concrete.
Mm-hmm.
Concrete changed a lot for me.
Yeah.
It gave me a huge exposure. Next thing I know, I'm on Valuetainment contacted me and said, "Hey, we want you to come on our channel." Mm-hmm. Then it was Vlad TV wanted me to be on their channel. Then it was all of these other channels started reaching out. That got me exposure. That exposure ended up getting me in a position where now I've got several production companies that want to do a feature length, what do they call them, features, documentary, like a 2-hour long documentary on my life. I've been paid to do speaking engagements. I've been paid to speak in front of college, forensic accounting classes. And so it's kind of,
sorry.
Yeah, that's cool. So it's kind of put me on a path. Same thing with you. You did Concrete. You did soft white underbelly. Same thing. I did soft white underbelly. Mm-hmm. So that ends up getting you exposure. Next thing you know, people reaching out.
Concrete did a lot for me, actually. So,
right.
Yeah. Boosted my numbers big time.
So, I mean, that's what I'm saying is that it gets you exposure. And so, yeah, is it going to take some effort on someone's part to come here and do that? Absolutely. But I can get you a bunch of exposure. Mm-hmm. And, maybe you take that exposure and you run with it. Totally depends. I know a guy that wants someone right now. One of the guys I interviewed recently, I don't want to say his name because I haven't asked him yet, but one of the guys I interviewed, it got 10, 15,000 views, but he was somebody reached out to him. Well, I ended up getting him on Concrete.
Right.
So I don't know how these people saw him, but they may have seen him on my channel, may have seen him on Concrete. And what happened was he's been contacted by a production company that wants to buy his life rights, right? Or option his life rights. You know that. Yeah. Yours has been optioned. So where they want to option his life rights, and now there may end up being maybe a 2-hour documentary, maybe it's a 3-hour documentary. He's got an interesting story. So those are the types of things that I'm doing with the channel and that I'm looking for. The second part of that is if there are any crime channels, true crime channels, prison channels that are in the general area of the Tampa Bay area. Yes. Could be St. Pete, Tampa, whatever, Wesley Chapel, Lutz, Orlando. So if anybody knows of any channels in the area, I don't care if they're in their infancy and they've got 5,000 subscribers or 2,000 subscribers, or they've got 300,000 subscribers or a million, whatever. I'd like to try and team up with other podcasters in the area so that we have the ability to bring people in and get them as much exposure as possible.
It's a good plan, really.
Yeah. They can come do mine, they can do yours, they can do somebody else's, they can do another channel.
Yeah.
In a day, they can knock out 3 or 4 podcasts. That's another good strategy. And I think it's also good because you tend to see the same guy on multiple different platforms podcasts. And the great thing about that is that your interview with someone's going to be vastly different than mine.
Sure.
My approach is way different than yours. Danny's with Concrete is different. Mark Leda with soft white underbelly. He almost asked no questions.
Yeah.
So there's just it's interesting to get different people's interviewing skill or whatever, and have them talk to a subject, because you're going to ask a whole bunch of different types of questions that I'm not even going to ask. And so I think that's also a different take, and it once again gets up these people way more exposure.
Yeah,
way more.
It's nuts.
So that's basically where I'm at. The other thing is Patreon. Like everybody, so I've got a Patreon account, and I run we run the ads and everything, and me and Juan did a bunch of silly ads, and it's about just trying to get people to kind of help contribute. A lot of guys, they think, oh, you're making a ton of money on this channel. I'm really making almost nothing. Like the bulk of the money is reinvested into the guys that are actually shooting the videos and editing the videos and doing the thumbnails and doing all that. Because the amount of money that makes from the channel couldn't possibly come close to paying my bills. So they basically get that money. I've made virtually almost no money on the channel. Every month, really, I've only gotten a check 1 or 2 months where I got a few $100s.
Right.
So the bulk of it goes to them.
Yeah.
And what I do is I focus on selling paintings and selling books and getting speaking gigs.
Right. You get your Patreon as well.
Right. Sorry, Patreon. And that's the whole thing. I'm trying to build up Patreon.
Right.
And, like $10 a month, guys scream and holler, oh, there's all these ads, fucking ads, Cox, there's too many ads. Well, bro, what do you think, like, how do you think pays for all this?
Right.
Like, I'm here for your entertainment, but you're not paying.
Yeah.
YouTube's free to these guys.
Yeah.
Somebody has to pay. Those ads pay. Join, what is the YouTube Premiere? Join Premiere if you don't want to see. It's almost nothing to join Premiere.
It's like,
I still get money for that.
It's like $14 a month, but
Is it 14? That's nothing. That's a joke. So let's say, you don't want to see the ad, join Premiere. If you want to support the channel, go to my Patreon, pay $10 a month.
Yeah.
$10 a month from, 100 guys or 10 guys or 20 guys, that's a chunk of money that helps.
Right.
So you can pay 10, you can pay 20, you can pay 100 and 120.
Sure.
So, if that's the case, if people are like, no, I want to see this thing succeed. Everybody says that. I want to see it succeed. I want to see you succeed. I want to see you do good. Oh, bro, I'm pumped. And I believe that. And nobody owes me anything. But if you really want to really help out, like $10, then donate $10 a month. Like, it's nothing. Like, that's nothing. It's a joke. You probably have $9.99 subscriptions that you don't even use that every month come out of your credit card. If you're really interested, and I'm not saying anybody has to. Certainly, by all means, you don't have to.
Right.
You don't owe me anything, But if you're not willing to pay the $10, stop complaining about the ads. Like they have to have the ads. Do you have any idea how? But most people have no idea how long it takes in order to edit a YouTube video, or the equipment you have to invest in if you don't want to edit the video, like you want to do it as it goes. You're either paying someone to run a camera system or a system that switches from one camera to the other so it's being edited as we're going,
Right.
or you edit it yourself afterward. For every 1 hour of video that's shot, there's 3 hours of editing.
Yeah.
First of all, just to watch
That sounds about right.
Right.
Actually, yeah.
just to watch a 1 hour video. How long does it take to watch a 1 hour video? One, I got to shoot the video. That's an hour.
Yeah.
Now I have to watch it to edit it. That's another hour. And every time you stop it, you just extend that time. You stop it to clip this, do this, clip this, remove this, put this, do this. Okay, there, that's it. Keep going. Well, you're doing that every few minutes. It ends up being, that 1 hour ends up being 3 hours. People don't realize that. So, all of this costs money, and I can't do it all myself. Like, I don't live rent free. I'm not a 17-year-old kid or a 22-year-old kid living in my parents' spare room.
Right.
I have a house that I have to pay for. I have a house. I have food. I have car payments. I have insurance payments. I have gas. Gas is killing me. There's a lot that goes into it. I have to find people to interview. I have to get them here. I have to arrange that. I have to interview people. I have to, help a brother out. You know what I mean? So if you can help me, help me. I'm not too proud to ask for help. So basically what I'm saying is, if you know people that want to be interviewed and have a good story and can tell their story, please contact me. Please. I'm desperately interested in that. I would love for people to come forward. Secondly is, listen, if you robbed a 7-Eleven one time, you know, like if it's just stupidness, like come on, don't waste my time. Like, you know, or I robbed 15 banks, but I was never caught. Bro, you've got no credibility. Like I need proof. I need newspaper reports. I need to know that this really happened. You can't just make something up. So, because I'll figure it out pretty quick. Yeah.
It's not hard. It's not hard to tell.
No, especially if it's somebody who comes in for fraud. As soon as I talk to a fraud guy, if they're bullshitting, it's like, come on, man, you didn't commit, you didn't do this. Yeah. So the second thing is true crime channels. If you know anybody with a true crime channel or you have a true crime channel, by all means, reach out to me. I would love to hook up so that we can all kind of get together and create like a group of guys that can share content. I think that's a great idea. Next thing is Patreon. Help me out. Patreon. Buy a painting. I sell paintings. I have paintings. So I sell paintings. Also, if you join the Patreon I think it's for $120. So if you join the Patreon for $120, you get a painting every month. So think about it. If you pay, granted, I'm not saying $120 is cheap, but you get a painting every single month. Let's face it, 10 months from now, you've helped support the channel. And on top of that, you got a wall full of paintings.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I'm not going to stop painting.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to keep painting. So it's working out for me. It's only getting better and better all the time. So I love painting.
So what about other than just crime? Like what other kind of content do you think people want to see on this channel? What kind of ideas do you have for that?
Right. Okay, so here's the problem. Like yours is like a variety of things. You're the
I'm an absolute maniac. I'm all over the place.
Right. The basic Bozak,
that's why people love my channel. The Bozak conundrum. So if the Bozak conundrum, you do all kinds. You did that guy that was the what was the chamber where you went and sat in the chamber? You went in the chamber and what was it called? The Ascension Chamber.
Ascension Chamber. Yeah. Right. You interviewed
Phoenix,
that guy.
Arizona. Yeah.
Then you went and talked to him. Mm-hmm. Then you do stuff on tattooing, and then you had the dominatrix, and you had, you know, sometimes it's your girlfriend is, you know, on there. Like, I mean, it's like you're like a variety channel. Like, you know, you talk to anybody you think's interesting.
Yeah.
So the thing is, what I've noticed is that whenever I veer away from anything criminal, I look at the comment section, and I don't always pay attention to the comment section. Right. Like some of the guys they're just being jerks. But what I do notice is if you look at what people are saying and you look at the numbers, then you start to realize, oh, okay, like these guys are definitely here because they want to hear crime stories. Mm-hmm. That really is what it is. Like people will be furious about this video. They really do want to hear stories about crime told by criminals. So, you know, anytime I veer away from that, I definitely hear about it. And I notice that the numbers aren't big. Now, I interviewed a guy that was a wrestler.
Right.
It was a great interview. It was hilarious. I was just jabbing him, and he had great stories. And he's funny, but it wasn't crime related. The videos didn't do great, and people didn't like it.
Really?
Yeah, even though the guy was great. Yeah. I mean, nothing against him, but when your subscribers and when the algorithm is pushing you for crime, and people want to go to your channel and see crime, and they're seeing you interview a guy who was a wrestler and never committed a crime, then you're like, then they're upset. So I get that. So what I would like to do is stay with crime, but not just criminals. Like I wouldn't mind talking to criminal attorneys or probation officers or talk to correctional officers or COs.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Right. So if people have that, like if people want to see that kind of stuff, then they should let me know. If you're thinking, hey, what about this avenue or this avenue? You know, let me know. If you're saying, hey, I'd love to see you interview this type of a person. But you also have to be within reason. I get a lot of guys in the comment section that say stuff like, you know, oh, you should interview Elizabeth Holmes. You know, it's like that's never going to happen. Like, what are you talking about? Like, how logistically, I'm not going to be interviewing her. Her lawyers aren't going to let her be interviewed. I'm not going to be able. Well, logistically, I'm not going to be able to fly her out. I'm not going to be able to pay her because she's going to want to be paid. I can't do all of those things to get her here, even if she wasn't in the middle of a case. I mean, obviously she lost the case, but my point is like, use your head. Like some of these guys say stuff that's just ridiculous, you know. And it's like, and I think they really think that. Like, they really think, oh, you can pick up the phone and you can call Jordan Belford and he'll fly out. And I've actually was going to do Jordan Belford's when I went out to L.A., but that was several emails, and we never could arrange a time for me to be on his show. But it's like they think I'm going to make a phone call and he's going to jump on his private jet or something and fly out and do my podcast. Like, let's be reasonable here. So let me know what other kinds of content you want to see me do. If you want to see me do interviews with criminal lawyers, with correctional officers, with whoever else you think I should do them with, like give me some ideas and let me know.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Definitely a good idea.
Right. So yeah, I just don't want to stay in the in the realm of crime.
Diversify a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit,
but without losing too much of everybody's attention.
Yeah, right. But they're just not going to be interested if I'm interviewing a massage therapist.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Or Danny interviews guys that they that are talking about the creation of the universe, which is interesting.
Yeah.
You would probably interview.
Oh yeah, that would be great for my channel.
But my guys are interested in crime.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely. But yeah, definitely. I think that's it. That's where I'm at.
All
that's
right.
where I'm at. I'm at basically looking for content with good, interesting stories.
Yes.
Looking for other crime podcasts or prison podcasts or whatever you want to call them. And I'm also wanting to know about diversification, and I'm also wanting people to join Patreon. Every little bit counts. And that's it. If you have a crime story or whatever else, hit me up, and I appreciate it, and see ya.